Let's bring in Shannon and Michael.
Thank you.
How's it going, guys? How are you?
How are you?
How's it going? Now, you guys were on a couple weeks ago.
We were.
And I got to tell you, we got some phone calls.
Good.
We got a lot of phone calls, and it wasn't phone calls like, hey, what are you having those kind of people on the show? It was people that were really supportive of it, people that wanted to know, is this an open event to anybody? Even people said, what if I don't smoke marijuana or use the medicine, or can I still go and support these people?
Absolutely.
And we're like, yes. It's just amazing what we've been getting back.
That's so awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely an open event. It is 21 and up. You don't need your medical marijuana recommendation. So we will take all support from anybody, 21 and up.
Okay. And just so people know, and I hope I was pretty close to what earlier on in the show, the money that you generate from this event is going to...
It's going toward political action, if you will,
Okay.
and legal action. This was really, the association was born out of a need. There's a need for Fresno area cannabis patients to band together because of some recent events. Both the Fresno County just passed a total ban on all cannabis cultivation, which was shortly followed by the city of Fresno. And there's a lot of legal stuff that goes on with that and a lot of appellate court rulings, so there's been a lot of churn statewide. But the need here in Fresno is that we have this new zero tolerance approach by local law enforcement and by our elected leaders on the City Council and the Board of Supervisors to basically ban everything that state law provides for. So we would like to unfortunately engage in political dialogue, but that didn't happen this time around. So we want to band together, create some safe harbors for patients to come together and talk about what's happening on the local level. And unfortunately, there is a need now to push back against these total growing bans. So yes, this is a fundraiser for some litigation that's in progress against the county and the city. Fresno Cannabis Association was formed basically, and our first real act was to file a lawsuit against the city. And of course, there are also a number of other cases involving the county right now that also need some support. So it's kind of complicated to explain in 30 seconds, but we have a pretty good legal pathway going forward of what we need to do to kind of push back against these total growing bans. And rather than explain all the boring details, we said let's have a fun event. And so we have a Green Machine, the local reggae band that's going to be out there. We have, we have a 420 comic and Guy Obelam. He's known statewide. He does these events, and he's a great spokesman also for the movement. So we're going to have a lot of fun. So we decided let's have a fun event, and we're going to kind of mix in that yucky public policy and legal stuff in there with it.
Will you be informing people also? Will there be some education going on?
To the extent possible, because we're going to have people like Chris there, and
Yeah.
I don't know how much they want to be educated.
Not by him.
We had to educate him where the brewery was, and the actual address is 620 F Street.
Okay.
It is just north of Ventura. So we do hope to present some information to those who attend on what's happening with the local growing bans and what the association has plotted out to do about it.
Like panel discussions.
Panel
and stuff.
discussion,
Yeah.
maybe a little role play on what to do when people come knocking about your garden. But it's really about just getting together and networking and kind of building and reconnecting with people, because a lot of people are, unfortunately, the way the law is, everyone's on the down low and everyone's just doing their own thing. But we suffer when we do that. So it's interesting. The Pride is on Saturday, and a lot of the history of the medical marijuana movement, people may not remember this, but it's tied to like the 80s, and we had the AIDS crisis going on, and a lot of people were really suffering. And so the history of California's medical marijuana law is pinned to that. It was really about people providing compassionate care to people suffering with AIDS and HIV. And so if we remember our history and what our state did in passing that landmark law, we do have pride in our medical marijuana laws. We think they should be respected locally. And so we do hope people will kind of learn their history about medical marijuana just as they might about other subjects that interest them.
Civil Rights Weekend.
Well, tell me this. How is it that something gets voted in and then it's not law?
It's this is where the education gets hard. I mean, depending on, everyone's an armchair lawyer, right? If you talk to the board of supervisors or the sheriff, it's, well, federal law preempts everything, therefore the state law doesn't matter. So what? Proposition 215 never happened, and that's almost 20 years ago now. If you talk about state law versus local law, a lot of cannabis patients think, well, state law preempts local law, and unfortunately, maybe it doesn't. We have some appellate court rulings now that kind of explain the limitations of what 215 and SB 420 actually say. So you have this intersection of federal law, state law, and local law, and I guarantee you 99% of the people out there have no idea what the law actually says, and yet some of our elected officials like to go on there and say, well, when voters voted for medical marijuana, they never intended to do this. Well, intentions don't matter. What does the law actually say, and how do we respect state law? So that's kind of what we're all about. But the legal questions are troubling and puzzling and hard to navigate, and that's basically why we're in court.
How is it that when I go to L.A. or the Bay Area, I see these places all over the place, and they seem to be operating with no problems from the local law enforcement?
Well, in the Bay Area, the local government definitely supports what they have going on. They fought with the people for the movement. And then L.A.'s a little trickier. They had a bunch, and then they got shut down, and then Measure D came out, which allowed the original ones to come back. And so all the new ones now are saying, hey, not cool. So they've got litigation going on as well.
It's kind of interesting because the way the state law is right now, unfortunately, it gives a lot of latitude to local governments to kind of chart their own path. So although the state law, SB 420 in particular, really emphasizes the need for consistent regulation among the cities and counties, so you don't go from one city like Fresno, Clovis, and all of a sudden you're in a new law which nobody knows about. But we're actually in the opposite. You do not have consistent regulation between cities and counties, and nobody knows what the laws are, and nobody's following them anyway. I mean, you can't even go on any of the city websites and find the medical marijuana law there. You have to go out and actually search for it yourself. So, I mean, if they can do nothing else, if the cities and counties really want to go hardcore on these bans, they can at least educate people on what they think the law says, and then good luck with them trying to get compliance on it.
Okay. Now, when you go into court, what exactly are you suing them for?
Which one? And actually, there are several lawsuits in progress now.
Let's start with the first one and go from there.
Well, it's complicated, but Diana Kirby was on this show. She has a lawsuit going against the county. That's based on that preemption argument again. The state law says one thing, the local law says another thing. Can they really do that?
Does she just want to grow some marijuana? Is that what she wants to do?
Under the state law?
She wants to be able to provide her own medicine under state law. I mean, she's sick right now, or else she would be here. But no antibiotics, no painkillers, so she's having a little trouble right now, and that's why it's important, especially for people like her. So
it doesn't matter if she has insurance,
No.
really, because the insurance isn't going to pay for the medicine that works for her anyway.
Right. Absolutely.
The question is, where does marijuana come from? And everyone jokes about that. It doesn't come from the marijuana fairy, So if 3 years ago it was dispensaries were evil, let's ban all the dispensaries because they're crime magnets and what have you. Well, guess what? They banned all the dispensaries, and all of a sudden everyone who wasn't growing their own before, there's no other option for them except to grow their own. All right, and now it's like, oh, outdoor gardens were bad. So 2 years ago, the city of Fresno banned outdoor gardens, and they said, well, you can always grow inside. And here we are 2 years later saying, oh, no, you can't grow inside either. We're changing the rules on you. And by the way, we're not going to tell you that. So it's very hard for patients, even motivated patients, to understand what the laws are. And again, the cities and the counties keep making it up as they go. And their latest theory is, let's ban everything. Let's charge them $1,000 per plant if we catch them. And so some of the other lawsuits you were into said FCA's lawsuit is actually based, doesn't even have marijuana in it, really. It basically says the city violated the Environmental Quality Act when they went through the steps that they follow when they pass ordinances.
Well, and since we were here last time, the ACLU has stepped in on behalf of some patients to file complaints as well. So there's litigation with ACLU support as well.
And they'll bring in their own lawyers.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So definitely a lot of outside attorneys going on, and unfortunately, taxpayer dollars go into those attorneys.
Yeah. Now, before we take a commercial break, you guys brought something that you're going to be raffling off at the event on Sunday. What the heck is that thing?
So that is a custom Culture Magazine.
Can I touch it?
Sure. Culture Magazine Silver Surfer Vaporizer.
Woo!
Yeah, they've graciously donated this thing. It retails, I believe, at like $500. and they're going to let us raffle it off.
$500.
Yep. And then we have a couple other cool things coming in, like tickets for a refried Fresno comedy show and Sweet River Grill gift certificate and a Tetra Labs Pure Gold vape pen, all kinds of good stuff.
That's the button.
That's the actual temperature. All right. Yeah, that's the temperature.
All right, I was just touching it. Okay. All right. Shannon, always good to see you.
You too, Chuck. You too.
Michael,
Thank you
good to
so
see
much.
you, buddy.
Yeah.
This Sunday at the Full Circle Brewery in downtown Fresno, the Fresno Cannabis Association event hosted by our friend Chris DeVold. Go by there. It's $10 to get in. The money goes to a good cause.